as Richard, I think Richard is fucking amazing. The first time I met Richard, I was like nervous, I'm not gonna lie, because he does some ratchet shit. Like he gets really like,
we love it.
I love it. He gets like really crazy and like he's like cursing and it's a little sexualized and it's
man,
like,
the mango jokes.
crazy funny.
Mango.
Yeah. Mango to mango the show.
Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the Black Japan Podcast. I'm Shadrach.
Oh, I'm sorry. Kaze.
Kiara.
See, it's been a long time. That's how you know I forgot that.
Yeah, you haven't been here in a hot minute. What's been going on?
2 jobs.
I bet it has been.
2 jobs is quite a strenuous thing. 3 if I want to count the cosplay photo editing career.
Well, speaking of which, we need to talk about that, kind of like all of our careers and where we want to go in life.
Ooh, we talking dreams?
Yes, we're talking about dreams. Like we're gonna have like mood boards and everything.
Oh my god, let me show you mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Thank
big boy.
you.
But yeah, so we are 3 black creators. I'm a musician. Kiara is overall entertainer, and you are one of the many traits.
Teacher. I am an artist. I am a photo editor. I'm a photographer. I do singing. I work at a restaurant. I'm a waitress.
Yeah. But today we just want to talk about, our dreams as they pertain to Japan and being kind of like black creators, what that means working in Japan or working with Japanese companies, working within Japanese culture. Because for me, I feel like I kind of have an advantage being a musician working in Japan and everything. Because, okay, I'll just give you this like anecdote from my life. When I was over in Japan studying abroad, I was part of a music club, and literally the first cover band that I was a part of was like an Earth, Wind and Fire cover band. And the only reason I got chose for that band was because the band leader was like, "Hey, you black, ain't you? You black and black people, black people can sing R&B and funk, and black people sing Earth, Wind and Fire because there's black people in Earth, Wind and Fire." Like, you didn't tell me that, but I knew it because it's just like you just chose me kind of like super last minute.
It reminds me of that South Park episode with Token.
Token, exactly, yeah.
Play the bass. He's like, that's racist. I can't play bass. And he picks up the bass.
Basically sounds like, yeah. But the thing is that I can't sing to save my life, especially like Earth, Wind and Fire. Like, I can't do any falsettos.
But
yes, trust me.
well,
I've tried
no, I mean
this.
not ever. No, for one, a man who could do falsetto is very rare. So that's not definitely not a hallmark of your ability to sing.
But that is to say that I feel, Japanese people have like a lot of like preconceived notions about black people. Kind of like shit like, the regular stereotypes that like, people in America have about black people and stuff like that. But others were like, yeah, if you're black, like you are already like super creatively adept because of like, with like pop culture, all we see are like black movie stuff. It is though, black musicians and stuff like that. But I feel like in this case, it kind of like backfired on me because I don't sing. So I was forced, based off of just being black, this band leader assumed that I could sing Earth, Wind and Fire. But I feel like in that case, I feel once I'm back in Japan, people with their like preconceived notions about black musicians, are like more likely to kind of like choose me or kind of like reach out to me. And that in turn makes me want to work harder to kind of like
I'm glad
live
you
up
said
to
that
those.
just now, because I was really about to say, because that's at least that's presenting you with opportunities.
Yeah,
and all you gotta do is just simply get the skills for it. And then that's it.
Exactly. So I feel like in that case, like as a musician, maybe I would have a, easier time finding like opportunities, but I need to do the job on the back end and really make sure that I can actually do those things that people are expecting of me.
This is a good reverse racism.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So you want to shape yourself to fit the box they're trying to put you in instead of making your own box?
Why gotta say like that for? Why gotta be so accusatory for?
That's a very good statement to say.
She's calling me a minstrel. That's what she's calling me right now. It's crazy.
I think in this case, because it's a matter of giving, like, it's being presented opportunities that you don't have to like, necessarily look for. So in that, it's like a little bit like nepotism, right? it's like, so he's like, hey, you know, nepotism, like, obviously something a little bit different, but it's like, okay, you're black. We think you can do this based on preconceived notions. He can be, it works for him because he's in specific music, he's in the industry, he's in the industry that those opportunities would be involved with, right? So he can kind of carve his own path because he's given a head start. That's what I'm trying to get at.
A head start in singing or in music in general?
And just in his career, because he's giving these opportunities, he can, because it works with him, and it's also going to be building his skill set, which is important. Because when you are a musician, you're technically, even if you play the instruments, you are supposed to have some type of vocal training. Right. You don't have to be fucking like, you know,
Beyonce,
the male Beyonce version of it, but you should have some, right? So then it's motivating him to get the skills he should have, and then he can carve his own path because now he's networking. He knows what to do and he can maneuver around.
So don't look at it so negatively, Kiara.
No, I mean, no, what you said was very smart though, because that can happen to people. They can stay in that box.
Yeah, because I do understand where you're coming from, because we talked about this before, and how like you kind of like got out of the that part of like the industry because you felt like you're basically becoming like a clown in some aspects. Like, do you want to talk about that?
So I used to do Japanese TV pretty frequently between the years of 2011 and 2017. And I've had times where they assumed things about me as well. I had a shoot time set for 9 o'clock in the morning. They told me to meet them at this location. They didn't give me the details. They didn't send a script ahead of time. I get there, we're in front of a church. I'm like, okay, cool. You get to the church,
I know where this is going.
We go inside, they start filming. They're like, Kiara, today we're gonna have you sing some gospel. And I was like, what? They're like, yeah, we'd like you to sing with the choir. I was like, I'm not religious. I don't sing gospel. They're like,
two strikes.
They're like, what do you mean? They were so confused. They just assumed all black people go to church and sing in the choir when they're kids. It was weird. I was like, it's not what I do. And they just like straight up assumed it. Didn't even bother to double check or anything. They were just like, black girl, sings gospel, let's go. I sang that
you
one.
You actually sang?
I ended up singing, and I'm not a singer either. Especially back then, I was not comfortable with singing. I'll talk my ass off in front of a crowd of thousands, but when it comes to singing, it's a different beast.
It's a lot
for
more
me.
vulnerable.
Yeah. So I ended up singing some basic ass shit, like Lift Every Voice and Sing or something like that.
That is the generic default.
So I was like, I feel like I sang this at graduation once. I feel like I can sing it now. And so we ended up singing that, but it blew my mind that this like professional TV network had made this assumption and just went with it. But as far as like being a clown, I remember one time I had a shoot where they wanted me to dress as James Brown. Had nothing to do with what we were doing. They were just like, you're black, put on this wig. And I was like, why? What is the premise? Like, how does this shape go back around? And
I will say though, at least they got a black person.
You know what?
That could have went south so quickly.
Not 2003 Jimmy
Jimmy
Kimmel dressing up as like
there was no
LeBron
blackface
James.
involved.
It could have went a lot worse.
It could have been worse. It could have been worse. But I'm realizing now, like I've started my own project. It's still very much in the making, so I can't talk too much about it. But I'm working on my own production because I've realized that with Japanese like big industries, and maybe it's changing and I've missed it, but there are two boxes. You either have to be like incredibly beautiful, like model-worthy beautiful, or you need to be the clown. There's charisma, and then there's like being like stupid clown funny. Like that's the thing in Japan where it's like, I did it again. Like they want that kind of vibe.
Let's just I also want to say like Japanese comedy is so. It's because it's so over the top. Why I don't think it's funny. It
gets a little crazy. And if there's any, I don't know who's watching this, but if there's any like executives or producers who I've worked with in the past, I'm thankful for every opportunity that I've been given. I am not in an agency, so I get to really handpick the gigs that I do. And so I've been lucky to have it evolve around entertainment and around food. So it's already kind of high energy, and that's fine. But I don't like the whole like I'm so loud and crazy. Like,
yeah, it's just like it's a little cringe.
So do you feel ashamed of your like past roles a bit? Like
no. I've been very good at picking and choosing what I do as far as like the big role overall. There's just been those small moments like the James Brown wig. Mm-hmm. There was another moment, my sister never lets me forget this, but we had a TV crew come to our house in Jamaica, Queens. and film like a family party at my place because we had worked together. I'd worked with this program for so long, and they were like, we want to see Kiara's roots. So we go home to my place, and we've got the camera crew, and we're drinking, and we're having a good time. And the announcer dude, the main cast member of the show, is just like, yeah, Kiara's so funny. She's just like Eddie Murphy. And my sister was like, what? She don't look nothing like Eddie Murphy. And she got like offended.
Wait,
for
was
me.
was it appearance or was it just like in terms of your humor?
I guess
think-
because comedian and black is like,
so
Eddie Murphy.
yeah, like I got that. But on the surface level for her, she was just like, she don't even look like him. You're just saying that because she's black, and it got like a little crazy.
I'm pretty sure it would just be. I mean,
I think it was a funny thing.
yeah, I think just because of the humor, definitely not appearance.
It was,
but I do
but it
understand-
got
yeah.
awkward for a second because they were in this house of 11 black people, and it's like the 4 Japanese camera crew, and then my sister's like, and I'm just like, no, he means it's because I'm funny, and I had to like bring it back down. So there are some people on one side that are like really defensive, and I try not to be that person, and just like calmly explain why certain things may not be cool.
You know why it's also kind of hard to like pass judgment. Because it's not like, people of any culture we don't do the same thing. Because, like, same thing like with us, like, not us in particular, just like, us Americans. Like, when we say, like, oh, like, when we, like, are complimenting, like, a Japanese person, like, oh, you're beautiful, like, fucking, like, Utere Hikaru. Like, it's because I feel like, in a way, we're doing it out of, anybody who does that, you can tell when they're doing it out of respect or just to, like, belittle you. For the most part, it's out of respect because they're like, let me compare you to, like, another great black, so in this case, another great black person. And I don't really think that's bad because it's kind of like, at least it shows they know some black people, right? And they know some people that are like, have good reputation. Because, like, I bring this example because, like, when I was in Japan, I remember, like, and I was like, I mean, granted, this is like, I kind of asked for it. When I was at the clubs, I would get compared to like Nicki Minaj, like, oh, you're beautiful like Nicki Minaj, even though I wasn't like showing my ass. I mean, I was working, but
you are at least 2 shades darker than her too.
No, but it means like, what? Nicki Minaj is light. What are you?
Okay, so what, 4 shades?
But no, I'm just saying in terms of what like what she does, like because you know who Nicki Minaj is anyway. She's very hypersexualized. Granted, I was in an environment in which I was being
sexualized. Yeah.
Yes, and also engaging in twerking, right?
Engaging in twerking.
So, but then like on other instances, some people compare it to Beyonce, right? So, I mean, being compared to Beyonce is like, oh, damn, that's awesome. And Nicki Minaj is beautiful too, but we all know why I was being compared to Nicki Minaj in that instance. So when people of another like race or ethnicity say things like that, like, oh, they're comparing to like a positive, use that term very loosely, figure of your particular race, it's not bad because everybody just does it. It's like, it'd be weird if they said, oh, you're funny, like, I don't know, like Gwyneth Paltrow. It's gonna be like, what?
How dare you compare me to her?
Like,
Jesus.
what? You'd be like, because the first thing you're gonna think is like, I'm not even white, right?
The reverse racism in your own head, right?
So that's why it's like, it just, everything is like so, like, it's in context really plays into like what prompted them to say it,
right?
And then what they say.
Okay. So keeping that in mind, as you delve deeper into like the cosplay world, do you feel like race plays into like which characters you're allowed to play, or like do you feel like it limits the things that you're allowed to do? Or...
So ironically, and I definitely like very honest about like my thought processes over the years. When I was a kid, I used to be like, yeah, like I would love to, but one, like didn't have money like that. But I was like, yeah, like if I had money, I would love to cosplay. But I'm like, oh, but like I'm not like, and I actually didn't be like, oh, I don't want to do it because like I'm not white. It's like, because I'm not fucking Japanese. Like, I thought it was weird. But then I think I mentioned this before as well, or maybe not to you, but like with somebody else. Over the years, I realized I'm not, first of all, these characters are not fucking real. There's no Konoha village in Japan. Like, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm not cosplaying a Japanese person. I'm cosplaying a character. If they happen to be Japanese, I mean, that is what it is. But as long as you're not like taking great pains to like, do like this and shit.
If you're not trying to be offensive, then I feel like it's okay. I mean,
I've definitely like cast aside that type of doubt. Where it's like, because I'm confident. I'm like, first of all, and I'm also approaching it in a way that like I love these characters. These are very confident characters. Even if they're not like doing like dressing up in this character, whatever makes me feel confident. I'm doing it for me, and I'm doing it because I'm cosplaying a character that I love. I'm expressing my love for this character by becoming them.
Right.
I'm not becoming a fucking race. So people who find like, you know, because, and I actually keep that statement, because I'm very like, I don't like to be partial. I keep that statement, and I'm gonna say it even for like white people. If it, for example, a white person I wanted to cosplay Garnet, if they're not like black facing, if they're just, when Garnet has an afro, if they love this character, I think it's only fair that they should do that as well, just because it sounds so hypocritical if I were to be like, well, because I'm a black person, I want to cosplay like, say, a white character, because I love characters from Tekken, and, you know, there's some white characters in there that I want to dress up as. But I'm not cosplaying the race, I'm cosplaying the character. So I think it's okay. And like, in any respect, it doesn't matter. You just, as long as you're doing it, you know, respectfully, of course. So, and when you cast aside like that, like mentality of like, you know, shackling yourself, you enjoy what you're doing like a lot more, because this truly is just, we're just fucking dressing up. We're just having fun. That's all it is. So it's like, I think we shouldn't be too political with it. And when you like I said again, if you're doing respectfully, if you're doing it disrespectfully, nah, like don't change your skin color, don't change your eye shape, you know, don't do none of that shit. You'll be good. Don't also like, don't act the race of it either.
Don't act the stereotype.
Don't act the
because I feel like it's like it's not the race, because even like race isn't like a monolith. I feel like that's like a very racist way of like understanding race. I mean, race. The idea of race in of itself is like, can be racist, but I do understand what you mean. Not like acting like the stereotypical race of that. Like,
though, I will say
character.
there's some life is so like gray area. There's some nuances, because I'm gonna bring up two examples. You know, Michiko the Hachin. So, you know, she's not stereotypical in her personality, but it's a little bit. It's a bit, right? So now, bring it back to the statement that how we cosplay characters, not race. Now, say a white person cosplays as Michiko, and then like she's acting like her, you know, because she's cosplaying a character, not a race. That would be frowned upon, right? And I'm not a white knight. I'm just bringing up fair points. I like to think very fairly. And so you take like a black or Hispanic person, right? Whatever, that's cosplaying like a very like a meek Japanese, like, you know, character who's true to how I guess Japanese women can be. Would people think that's weird?
Well, I feel
wouldn't.
like
They would say, "Oh, you're cosplaying a character.
Yeah,
you're just acting a character." But so that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I think it's a weird area, because it's like, depending on what race you are, people judge you.
There's that, and have you seen that like Family Guy kind of like gag where it's like Family Guy but in Japan? Like,
No.
I'm gonna show you it. I'm gonna pull it up here, and then you'll see. That's the wrong way. Obviously, it's an offensive joke to be offensive, but I feel like as long as you're not doing that, like it's like literally all of them, like, you know, and like, you know, traditional Japanese clothing, like it's like the Meiji era or some shit like that, and it's just like them like imitating Japanese, and like all their eyes are like drawn as like Asian eyes, as like the most extreme stereotype.
And that's what I'm saying. See, that's not that.
Yeah.
So if we were to put that into the cosplay, that's not respectful.
Exactly.
And I'm saying, but I'm like, because I brought this conversation up, because I'm like, people categorize it all like under one umbrella, which is like, it's bad, and it's like, it's because everything is a gray area. There's levels to it. But with that said, going back real quick to the whole like a white person like cosplaying a black character, I think it's fine to be uncomfortable about it, because let's be for real. Let's look at the history of what's happened. Right?
We got history.
Perfectly comfortable to be like, to feel uncomfortable about it, or even oppose it. But if you were to strip away the subjectiveness about your like, you know, your thought process with it, you can't be hypocritical. It's okay within limitations and respect. But to bring that back to me, yes, I think we've casted aside that whole situation into life, so cosplay becomes so much more enjoyable and easy to navigate. And it's also like, I guess there is some privilege with being a black person who cosplays, and I say that ironically because, you know, obviously white people and every other race gets like the most recognition from it, but it's because people are trying to be more diverse with their like mentality in regard to like cosplaying. is why it does open up a lot of doors. And I've had a lot of my friends, I'm waiting for my time. I've had a lot of my friends like get such awesome like opportunities because they are Black cosplayers. So it's pretty good, yeah.
So it's working in your favor at the
Yeah, I
moment.
would say for sure. That I'm waiting. I'm just like I actually want one of the comment you asked me earlier. You know, what is like my end goal for like I guess what I do in relation to Japan.
Right.
I really do want to go to Japan with this, but I think it's important to build like a strong like home fan base.
Okay.
Because if you have, I mean, you don't have to be successful where you're from because you can get success overseas, which many people have shown to have been doing, right? But just in my personal opinion, because I think it's because I'm a New Yorker, and in New York, especially like New York and Cali and a couple other states, we have so much like ease of access to getting opportunities. That's why I think it's in our those state natives and their best interest to get a strong fan base home, and then take that with you out there.
Right.
And I say that especially so because when it comes to Black people in Japan, I don't think there's not enough, if at all, like recognition, like at all, except like like a 1.0.01%.
Because like for you, even up until now, like, do you know of any other Black entertainers? Because that have like followed kind of like your path, going down the more traditional TV route as opposed to kind of like the Instagrams or like online sort of like notoriety of way of like getting recognition as like a Black entertainer. Because I feel like as like a Black entertainer these days, guys like Ricardo TV, he's like
Ricardo?
Ricardo.
Ricchaado.
Yeah, so.
Richard TV.
Yeah, Richard TV. He's still
Ricardo!
Ricardo. It's a weird name for like a Black British guy to have, in my opinion.
Richard?
No.
Rich. Oh, so his
His
name
name is Richard.
Oh, but why is his name? Okay, so.
だって日本語で言ったらリチャードって
そうだね
なるから。
Ricardo, that's Hispanic.
Ricardo. そうだね。すいません。
We gotta clip that and send that to Richard. I'm gonna have to message him.
すいません。But I feel like
Right.
guys like him, have done like a great job of kind of like being like the new wave of like
Yeah.
Black entertainers
Yeah,
that
yeah.
also have like plugged into kind of like the Japanese zeitgeist.
Right.
But he's done that through like the new media, which
Right.
is like the internet. But you've got about the old media around
Yeah,
through
it's
like TV. Like,
it's
have you met
pretty.
anybody else in your position or that is like pursuing your like position?
Not that I've met in person, but I'd say the person who stands out the most to me as far as like traditional TV would be a guy named Ike. I don't know his last name, sorry, but Ike is doing pretty well on Japanese TV.
Well,
And
is he doing stuff like you or like carving his own like?
I don't have a lot of access to Japanese television, and they're very strict with like what is allowed to be broadcasted here in the States. So I haven't followed up on a lot of his more recent stuff. But he's a funny dude, and so he's comfortable doing the funny stuff.
Okay.
So he's on a couple of variety shows. He guests a lot. I think recently he's become like a more permanent host in a couple of TV shows, and so he's doing the traditional route, and he's doing really well. As far as Richard, I think Richard is fucking amazing. The first time I met Richard, I was like nervous, I'm not gonna lie, because he does some ratchet shit. Like he gets really like,
We love it.
I love it. He gets like really crazy and like he's like cursing and it's a little sexualized, and it's like, as a consumer, I love it. But as my like softer like Japanese TV reporter vibe, I was like, oh man, can I endorse this? Like there was a moment of hesitation where I was like, oh man, the mango jokes, crazy funny.
Mango.
Yeah. Mango to mango でしょ? But I'm like, I love it. Can I repost that on my personal channel? No. So it gets a little like tricky. So like I support him from afar, like screaming mad loud, like go ricchaado. But as far as like my personal image, it doesn't mesh well. So I love what he's doing. I love how he doesn't care that like in Japanese TV you should be a bit more, not so sexualized if you're trying to go like mainstream. But the fact that he's using the more like new aged technology, right? Like he's TikTok, he's Instagram, he's started Ricchaadotv Academy, which is like teaching foreigners Japanese, and that's doing really, really well.
Yeah, he's into that Dogen sort of like
he's
money.
doing. He did a
He
video
did a
with
collab
Dogen.
like Dogen, yeah.
So he's doing the thing, and I think it's so interesting because
He's amazing, yeah. Like
he's
bro,
doing
you're
crazy
amazing.
stuff. Like
You're
I,
amazing.
like I said, can't always repost you. That one there.
Yeah.
I can't always repost you, but I support you so heavy. I love what you're doing.
I know him. Oh,
Yeah.
not, I wish I knew him, but no, I know of him. I never knew his name. I just see his videos.
Like he's
On
doing
Instagram.
doing events in Japan. He did a pop-up event with Yakuruto, which is like a popular drinking
And he was
probiotic.
like, what's the like character? Like his like female character?
Momo-chan.
Momo-chan. I can only imagine being like a
Yeah.
like a regular Japanese person just like walking by, just like seeing this like tall ass black dude like
Yeah,
dressed up
he
in
got
like
interviewed
these
by
shorts.
Japanese TV when he landed in Japan because he
Really?
was dressed as Momo when he left.
Really?
Yeah.
Did he get his start in Japan or did he bring it to Japan?
He got his start in England.
Yeah, so it's like English.
See what I told you, the importance of securing the home base
Yeah, no.
and bringing it out.
But I feel like for him, it's like like his home base would just be like the English speaking. For him, his
But when
like,
I say
yeah.
home base, I mean just getting yourself known, like wherever you may
Yeah,
be.
yeah.
Because I think it's also easier because you become. I'm the term is a little me, but like you become like a valuable asset basically because like this person already has an audience. Like from any other country standpoint, but we'll say Japanese in this case. From a Japanese business person standpoint, it's like, this person already has an audience.
Right.
So now it could be a little bit of a culture diffusion thing because now your audience is gonna come to us.
Right.
Our audience will come to you. That's double the audience.
Having an audience is so important. I remember, this was 8 years ago. I got a book offer to write my story about being Black and being flown to Japan for a TV show and having everything paid for and what it was like being in Jamaica, Queens and learning Japanese as growing up in the hood. And I started to do the book, but then it felt weird because I was still so young. So to be writing a biography felt weird to me.
Yeah.
So I turned it down. I went back recently because now I'm in my 30s. So I'm like, okay, I don't mind writing about a little bit about my life now. I went to this publisher, I kid you not, they were like, your Instagram following. Before it was okay because I was...
social media was not like
my social media is not up to par. I have under 2,000 followers. I've been on national Japanese TV on and off for 8 years, but I don't do enough in social media to be relevant in that stance. So while I'm known in Japanese TV, I'm not known in Japanese social media. So that book offer that I was offered 8 years ago based on my personal personality and the efforts that I was like doing in the scene doesn't matter anymore, which is scary.
That's a good that you brought up too because that is definitely the state of society. It's kind of just like society. It's like if you're that, and that's why I say like I want to do certain things when I reach a particular follower count because unfortunately
it matters.
That like it's like very. So I will say I have some friends who don't have as many followers as me that has really great opportunities, but that's so like it's rare, and they've had those opportunities from before social media like became like the main like requirement. So it's for them it's like it's fine. Versus now where it's like, okay, you have amazing content. If you have amazing content and your follower count is like they'll look at it like, did you start this early? Like were you doing this for years and your follower count is still low? They'll look at you like, okay, because your content's good, maybe you just need a leg up. If your content is like averagely good, and your follower count is high, they'll be like, okay, great, yeah, because the follower count, that's people. If your content is averagely good, your follower count is like, you'll be unless you know somebody, you'll be glossed over. Like people won't bother to reach out to you unless somebody puts your name in their ear. At least that's how I could be wrong, but that's how I observe. Nobody realizes I be observing the fuck out of them. Like just thinking, I'm like, how did they do this? Because you want to see what they're doing so you can like not imitate them, but like see how you can incorporate it in your own type of life. That's what I'm noticing, at least.
Networking has always been really important, but now it's about networking and numbers.
Yes, and it's like it's rare. It's less likely to happen if you have low numbers and networking because even then they'll be like, if the person, this person does great content, they'll be like, but if it's averagely good, they'll be like, I don't know, we could find somebody who's amazing, with the followers at least.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think it's numbers. I don't think is good. I do appreciate the networking part because there's people with great content and they're like horrible networkers. And then people who have big followings, but then they don't maintain everything, and then it starts to fall off. Like, nothing beats in-person connections, in my personal opinion, because they know you. They know what you're capable of, and they know you, versus they know of you. I'd rather know someone than know of them.
Right. Makes sense.
All this to say, as like black people pursuing entertainment careers in around with the Japanese entertainment industry, I would say it's a net positive for us, being because Japan's fascination with kind of like foreign, gaijin, gaikokujin and stuff like that. But obviously, from like our like experiences, there are waters that you do have to navigate in order to, I guess, protect your integrity. In Kiara's case especially, kind of like you like chose to kind of like draw a line, and you're like better off for it. And not to say that people that choose to go around the pure comedian route or like have less integrity, but that is something to be aware about. That like the fields are plentiful, but there's a bit of thorns in there.
Who would be like a really good person to have brought on this podcast, like in addition to Kiara? Toasty.
Well, we're gonna talk with her after she comes back from Japan.
Because shout out to Toasty. She also does. She's done, I think, a deal with. She's done something with Sony before. She like music covers.
Oh, Toasty Marshmallow.
Yes, her. Yeah, she'd been awesome to also bring on that. And this girl's in Japan too.
Hey, Toasty, come home. We need you, girl.
Come to the podcast, Toasty.
But that is to say, please let us know, or like that is to say, if you're trying to pursue a career as a black person in Japan in the entertainment industry, definitely do it. And I hope this video helps y'all navigate and understand what needs to be done on your end in order to achieve your goals. But yeah, please tell us about your goals, your dreams, your hopes for like working in Japan, entertainment or not, and we'll see you in the next episode. Peace.
Bye.
Deuces. Matane.
Okay. Oh.
What's up?
You gotta do the way
George like Lopez, like remember like the edit
Oh.
episode. Bye bye. Have a wonderful time.
Bye bye. Have a wonderful time.